Thank you very much, our team from London studio. We are glad to be part of this global Telethon 2021. I'm Ismail Nkutu, and with me in the studio is brother Mugaya Abubakar, who is the Director Knowledge for Life Humanity First Uganda, where we are going to be discussing issues concerning orphan care program in Uganda. Brother Abubakar.
Yes, please.
It's a pleasure having you on this presentation.
Thank you so much.
Brother Abubakar, you may be aware that actually around the globe, over 100 million orphans are starving in with different calamities. Some of them are brought with the different conflicts, health issues, and this one happens to be that they are in most parts of African countries. So Uganda happens to be among those countries where orphans may be starving just like in other countries. So I want you to tell our viewers what is the need for orphan care programs in Uganda?
All right, thank you so much, Brother Ismail. Just like you put it, Uganda is a developing nation. And like any other developing nation, we are grappling with such problems like the orphan crisis. Rightly put, of the percentage you've quoted, about 2 million orphans are existing in Uganda as we speak today. And that accounts for around slightly above 10% of the child population in Uganda are orphans. So this means it is a big crisis. Of course, definitely brought about by problems like HIV and AIDS scourge, look at war, conflicts, and such related problems. So when the parents die, especially at a young age, they leave that gap. These children are left in the hands of widowed mothers, sometimes helpless elderly grandmothers who cannot do anything for them. They do not have access to their basic rights, children rights like education, food, shelter. Maybe briefly to shed a picture about this, we have three categories of orphans. There are those orphans that have lost their mothers, there are orphans that have lost their fathers, and then there are those orphans that have lost both parents. So you find an orphan that has lost both parents is completely grounded. They do not have any access to whatever basic rights they deserve in their lives. So there is a great need, as you put it, in Uganda for orphan care. These children need to be cared for. They need to be taken to school. They need to be fed. They need to be clothed. But who is going to take care of this if there are no services like what Humanity First is doing in this country? If we do not take keen attention and interest in the affairs of these children, it means we are going to have a wasted generation of these children. What happens is when these children are not cared for, they are exploited in various ways and circumstances. You find the girls, for example, are tempted to go into marriage at a young age. Some of them are defiled, some of them are raped, you know, and when sometimes they get pregnant, they acquire other diseases. And they end up dying, actually. Then you realize an orphan is leaving another orphan. So the problem accumulates or doubles, duplicates. Or the boys, for example, will take to the streets. They become street children. And when they are there, they are recruited into petty criminals, or sometimes they also turn into hardened criminals. So it becomes a problem to the social and economic affairs of the country. So really, holistically speaking, we really need to care for these people. That answers or justifies the question you're asking me, do we really need the orphan care in this country? Please, we do. And I want to appreciate what Humanity First has done, although the problem is quite huge.
What is the response of Humanity First Orphan Care Program in curbing the problems of orphans and the situations in Uganda?
Well, as we speak now, Humanity First has taken on 100 orphans. As we speak, we are supporting them in various schools. We have recruited them into schools. Some of them are Jamaat schools, some are not. We care for these orphans in terms of their education welfare, nutrition. We clothe them. We ensure we give them at least a reasonable kind of life to feel as if their parents were around. These children are taken to schools. So HF, or Humanity First, Uganda specifically, has done quite a good job. We are educating these children. We are feeding them in the schools where we take them.
That's wonderful.
We buy for them uniforms. We buy for them scholastic materials that are needed in the schools, just to make sure that they acquire the education, and we ensure that they get access to other children's rights like any other normal child in this country.
What age group do you target while recruiting them?
The recruitment is, we really look at, because there are orphans that may have guardians that are well off. Those orphans may have access to whatever services they need in their lives. But then when we are recruiting them, we look at an orphan that is absolutely, unable to have access to these rights we are looking at. For example, they can't go to school, some of them do not even have food. There are families that we watch on televisions that are exposed sometimes by the media. You find an old woman with a group of around 15, 20 children. There's one I watched on a given television somewhere, in Katanga, a suburb of Kampala. She had around 15 children. All of them were orphans, left to her by sons and daughters that had passed on. You see, she's accommodating them in a single room. She's struggling to feed them. She's struggling to make sure they go to school. Buying all the scholastic items and all that, it becomes a huge burden on such an old woman. So these are the people we look out, and we recruit into our programs, and we make sure they get access to reasonable kind of social and economic standards that can enable them fit into the communities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abubakari. Now, from your discussion, I've discovered that you have orphans in different schools, scattered in different areas. What is the sustainability of this program? And even, do you have any program which caters for these orphans that they are in maybe a gazetted place, just like in other places? Other places we hear there are orphanages, or they still come from their homes and you cater for their education and other education services, maybe even health services, as you've put it right. What plan do you have for the sustainability of this program?
Right. At this point, I want to extend my gratitude and thanks to Humanity First Germany. They have sponsored us, and we are putting up an orphanage in the western part of Uganda, in a district called Kabalore.
There is already a plan going on?
Yeah, there is a plan, and the buildings have already been erected there. The project is ongoing. And very soon we are going to open that orphanage officially. The capacity is about 30 orphans. You may look at it as something small, but we are looking at the beginning point of it. If we put up an orphanage in western Uganda, of course we shall be developing it. We intend to equip it with all the facilities that are needed by a child to survive in a reasonable atmosphere. So, talking about what we are planning to do in the long run, we've started on a plan of an orphanage. It is under construction, and we plan, like I told you, to recruit those very vulnerable children that have lost both parents, that do not have any care at all. Those are the ones we are going to start with in this orphan. But you and I, Brother Isma, are also potential donors to these programs. So the purpose as to why we're here is to appeal to everyone out there to contribute to the Humanity First programs. We have a number of programs. Today we are discussing orphan care, but there are quite a range of programs that Humanity First is running in this country. Who comes in to donate? Each one of us, every coin you give, every coin you contribute towards these programs is very much appreciated. So we call out to everyone who has got anything to give in, please to contribute so as we can help, for example, these orphans also have access to education, health care, and everything they need in their lives.
Humanity first, serving mankind. Humanity first, we live to serve.